You're listening to Pombo and Peter's Picks, the home of your favorite sports betting podcast. Presented by The Daily Goat.
Hello and welcome to Pombo and Peter's Picks. I'm Jason Pombo, joined as always by Peter Alves. Peter, how we doing today?
Good. Week 2 of the NFL. How's week 1 for you? Said you won a parlay. Congratulations.
I won a parlay. I did well in a couple fantasy leagues. I think our picks in the podcast were really well. Hopefully we can replicate that in the future. Me and Peter were combined 7-3 this week. 700 winning percentage.
Speaking of
That's pretty
fantasy,
good.
how many fantasy leagues are too much?
I think 5 is too much. I think 4 is the limit.
All
to
right,
me.
so let's see. Got your league. Got Buffalo Wild Wings. I have a 2-person team league that Dave set up. It's pretty cool. You pick all players from 2 different NFL.
No, I did hear about that. Yeah, I was invited, but I declined because I'm in too many leagues.
That's so easy. The Bills and Texans. Got 2 Yahoo leagues. Got a Dynasty league that you're in.
So was that 6?
And I got a 53-man Dynasty league as well. So
7? Is that 7? If I can count?
I'm terrible in that, though.
That's way too many, dude. That's way too many.
It's all right.
Way too. I have 4. I went 2-2 this week. I had a heartbreaker. Like I said, I lost by half a point in one league, but in another league, I won by 3 points. So it evens itself out. Like I said, I won a parlay, so I'll take that as a W. But week 1 in the NFL was very entertaining. Before we get into it, Peter, let's discuss what we got right for our picks. So I'll start. I went 4-1, 1-0 in my premium, and I got my Survivor pick correct. So remember that. We'll talk about the future of Survivor picks later on. But for me anyway, I had the Vikings plus 1.5 against the Packers. The Vikings won that game outright. I got that as a W, and everybody knows how high I am on the Vikings, so that was good. I had the Ravens minus 6.5 over the Jets. The Ravens covered. They won 24-9. Lamar Jackson 3 touchdown passes. They cruised through that by the second half. Also had the Falcons plus 5.5 over the Saints. This one I really liked. I felt like there was some good value on that. The Falcons were at home. Despite the fact that they blew another second half lead, they did cover. They lost 27-26, but they did indeed cover. They were outscored 20-10 in the second half, and I think 17-3 in the fourth quarter. But hey, it's a win. Other thing that I got right was the what was my last pick today? Oh, the Chiefs. Chiefs minus 6 over the Cardinals. 6.5 over the Cardinals. The Chiefs blew Cardinals out 44-21. Pat Mahomes might have been the MVP of week 1. He was 30 of 39 passing for 360 yards and 5 touchdowns. And the game was over by the second quarter. The one loss I had the Rams plus 2.5 last Thursday. And the Bills ended up winning 31-10. Josh Allen, 26 of 31, 297 yards and 3 touchdowns. Cooper Kupp was just about it for the Rams. He had 13 catches, 128 yards and a touchdown. But other than that, the Rams offense was as pedestrian as it gets. So 4-1, 1-0 in the premium, and I survived their Survivor pool for another week. So I consider that a huge success.
Yeah, it's better than me. 3-2. Yeah, the Ravens minus 7. That's a lock. Falcons plus 5.5. And then the Dolphins minus 3. Yeah, Patriots looking inept. Yeah, nice. All right, lost Colts minus 7. Colts are the worst team ever. Matt Ryan is not an upgrade. And 49ers minus 7. I know the weather probably affected that game, but Trey Lance looks kind of bad. I know they didn't have George Kittle, and Mitchell is out 2 months probably. So we'll give him a free pass, but he looks pretty bad.
I will say, Peter, about your Niners pick, I feel like if you knew the weather was going to be that bad, I don't know if you would you. I don't think you would have.
No, I wouldn't have done that.
No. And in terms of the Colts, I was really surprised you did that because I believe the Colts screwed you last year. I feel like you definitely they screwed you at some point last year. I don't remember what or when, but I remember them screwing you. It might have been against the Jags, whatever it was. And a lot of people in Survivor pools and everything else were picking the Colts.
I'm in a Survivor pool with like Chris Baros's brother and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
With 37 people. I picked the Ravens in that one. I did not pick the Colts. But there's only 7 people left.
Wow, that's crazy.
Anybody that picked the Ravens.
It's crazy. Week 1, takes a toll on everybody. And there was upsets. And I think the Colts-Texans game, which ended in a tie, was one because I think a lot of people expected Matt Ryan and the Colts to really stomp over the Texans. I think everyone kind of makes a
Well, they
mockery of the
did. I mean,
Texans.
like their defense got lit up. I think Matt Ryan did like 350, 400 yards. Blankenship should have had that field goal right at the end. Then the Texans punted with like 30 seconds left. Did not understand that at all.
But it feels like to me watching that game, the Colts were asleep until the fourth quarter. I believe going into the fourth quarter, they were down 20-3. And I know Blankenship missed the kick, who actually got released on Tuesday. But I still have some question marks about the Colts. It felt like they took a while to get going. And I know a lot of people are high on the Colts. I'm not as high as everybody else.
Well, I mean, that whole division is a crapshoot anyway.
Yeah, and then you look at the other side of that division, the Giants. They came back at a comeback win against the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee. Brian Dable going for 2, and then the Titans missing a field goal as time expired.
Good job, Dog. Yeah, good job.
Saquon Barkley was awesome, man. 18 carries, $164 and a touchdown. He was the highlight of the game to me.
Yeah, for sure. He looks like when he got drafted, 2016.
17
17?
maybe something like that. He looks
he
like
looks like in college.
I agree. He looks like the Penn State days. He's going to make some fantasy owners happy, and if he can stay healthy, he's going to make an impact for a long, long time. But Peter, we were talking about survivor pools, and so Peter obviously went with the Colts. I obviously went with the Ravens. The Ravens, of course, won, and the Colts, however, they hit a tie. So me and Peter have been kind of going back and forth for the last couple of days. How do we want to go about this? Because the Colts did not lose, but they also didn't win. So at first we were kind of like, you know what, like Peter, you're just going to hold your L in week 1. But I'm kind of sitting there and I'm like, you know what, let's see what the listeners think. So I created a Twitter poll on the Daily Goat account. If you don't follow that account, give that a follow. And I just wanted to see people's opinion. So I kind of, Peter, you have not seen the poll, right?
No, I didn't even retweet it just for that reason. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll read you.
So caveat to this, I said that I should be out.
Yes.
In my mom's Survivor League, I picked the Colts. She did not advance. Somebody already won that, by the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn. Looks like you're not getting a cut.
There's only 8 people, but that's all right. Yeah. Everybody picked the Broncos. Everybody picked the Titans. Everybody picked the Niners.
Yeah, and I want to get in the Broncos. That was, of course, another upset from Monday Night Football. So I posted this on Monday at 3:46 p.m. Important poll for Pombo and Peter's picks. And I put the little, like the red buzzer emojis. I said, for their Survivor pick segment, Peter picked the Colts. Since the Colts game ended in a tie, should he be allowed to have a pick for week 2, or should he be out? So, Peter, would you like to guess the percentage? And then the options were he should be out. And then the other option was keep him in.
The percentage? I predict no, because people do not like me.
Okay, so you got a guess on the percentage?
How many people?
12.
12. So
do you think more than 6 people like you?
I'll go 8-4.
8-4 no or 8-4 yes?
8-4 no. Well, I was gonna say no regardless.
So Peter, you're wrong actually. 9 of the 12 people voted to keep you in.
Oh wow, 9 people love me on this podcast. Did you vote in this poll at all?
I did not vote, Peter. I swear to God, I did not.
I did not either.
Yeah, I did not vote. I kind of wanted to stay like
because I didn't even like
partisan.
Retweeted.
Yeah. So Peter, if you would like to make a selection for the Survivor pool, if you want to think you're in, we might have to throw an asterisk above you, but hey, I think you should.
Yeah, Matt, throw that asterisk.
Yeah, we got to give the people what they want. I had a couple people text me, and they were emphatically rooting for Peter to continue on for the Survivor pool.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I swear. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you have some fans, Peter. You did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. A couple names in particular. Brandon Carr of Rough in the Basket.
Oh, we love Carr.
And Dylan Saraiva of Cheap Talk Wrestling. They were both very adamant of you sticking around.
Nice. Thanks, Dylan. Yep. Thanks, Carr.
Carr,
I watched the Alabama-Texas game. Oof, Alabama looks bad. Oof.
Bryce Young at the end was awesome. Whew. That might have been the best college game of the year.
I don't know. Awesome. I mean, Texas backup quarterback can't even.
Yeah, I mean,
the ball. I mean, if they had that, I don't know who the Texas quarterback is in general.
Quinn Ewers was the one that got hurt.
If he was in the whole game, yikes! I thought they were going to drop down to more than 2.
It was a crazy game. was a fun game to watch. I think that's the kind of game that was good for college football because, of course, Texas is one of those programs that hasn't necessarily had the success that they had in the day, kind of on a rebuild. Have had some big names over the couple years. They have a really stud running back.
Yeah, they do.
Kid's a real player. He's a Heisman candidate. Quinn Ewers is a big name. Of course, Arch Manning next year. So Texas is a program that's heading into the SEC. It's on the rise. And, of course, Alabama is as prestigious collegiate athletic organization there is in college football. So I think that was good for the sport. So I think that's big for college football. All right, Peter. So we can check you on the box for making a survivor pool pick this week. You in?
Yep.
Peter is in, locked and
We
loaded.
can do
And
it.
now I already know what's
Matt,
gonna happen.
put an asterisk over it. And if I win, that's fake news.
I already know what's gonna happen. My survivor pick, which I will reveal at the end of the show, is gonna lose. And yours, if it's different from mine, is gonna win. And then I'm gonna be stuck with the bag after week 2. That's funny. But hey, Peter, you gotta give the people what they want.
It's the people, it's not me. If
Yeah,
it was up to
exactly.
me, I would say no.
Yeah, it was. You were very humble about it. You were ready to take
you
your
can
out.
bet on a tie.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you were ready to give it up, but the people still want Peter. Shout out to all the fans.
Shout out.
All right, Peter. So overall, week 1, like I said to start off the show, I thought it was a huge success. You had some upsets, you had some close games, you had some star power, and what I call week 1, a lot of people call it as well, is overreaction Monday.
Oh, it is. Oh,
It is
totally
like it's like teams, for example, the Packers lost the Vikings 23-7. Aaron Rodgers was as pedestrian as it gets. And of course, they also lost 38-3 last year against the Saints. And everyone's like, oh, Packers are dead. A lot of trouble, this and that. And that's just one example. There's so many others that you can just read up and down the slate. Oh, Joe Burrow threw 4 interceptions. He's caked. Trey Lance sucks. Cowboys offense is useless. I mean, that one might be true without Dak Prescott. Without Dak Prescott, like there's so many different overreaction storylines. Could you imagine the storylines if the Falcons ended up beating the Saints and the Saints didn't come back?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
So, there's tons of it. So, Peter, what's your number one takeaway from the entire weekend? I should say, include the Monday night game as well.
You said don't overreact. 2, draft a good kicker.
Ooh.
All these games, I'm pretty sure, went up to kicks. I mean, Boswell. Evan McPherson missed a field goal. That's pretty disappointing. I mean, if you want to talk about the Broncos Seahawks game, like just in general, I'll hold off on that. That's really weird.
Shit show. And Rodrigo Blankenship for the Colts.
Yeah, you said he got released. Yeah. Somebody else was bad too, right?
You said Boswell, McPherson. Well, actually, there was one kicker that I can't believe we're talking about kickers, but here we are, and they were important.
Young Wei Koo. I mean,
yeah. And how about the Browns kicker? His name is escaping me, but he hit the game winner. Cade York.
Yep.
Cade York. So
that's enough kickers.
Yeah, that's enough kicker talk for the year. But you're right, though. It came down to kicking. I know everyone hates it, and that's just kind of. But hey, look, a kicker's won and lost games this week, and I think that is an important storyline going forward. We saw the Colts make a quick trigger and release Blankenship, so. You got to get your stuff right. And Evan McPherson was arguably the best kicker in the league last year. And
well, he hit like a 58-yard field goal at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, and then he kind of just melted.
Yeah.
So, I think that's a takeaway for me as well. And that, of course, kickers are on there. Another takeaway: what's going to happen to the Rams' offense? So the Rams are in a situation where they lost 31-10 against the Bills. Their offense looked really bad. The offensive line was not up to snub. Matt Stafford, he struggled. His yards per attempt was 5.9, which is his lowest he's had in over 2 years. So that's an issue. I also think they have a skill position issue. Outside of Cooper Kupp, I don't really see much there. It feels like the cupboard is bare. Odell Beckham, of course, is still a free agent. I think he's ultimately going to re-sign there, but he's not ready yet. Of course, he's rehabbing from that injury. So I think I am concerned about the Rams offense, along with the fact that Matthew Stafford's elbow is an issue. So I have some questions about the Rams offense. I think that's something that, again, I'm not overreacting and saying the Rams are going to be below 500, this and that. but I do have some pause and some question because they just struggled more than I thought they would. Uh, Another takeaway I had from this weekend's games were the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are still the Chiefs. Pat Mahomes, again, he's the MVP front runner after week one. He was awesome. He showed that he can get the job done without Tyreek Hill if there was ever any doubt. And it feels like there was. A lot of people were picking the Chargers to win the division and to get to the Super Bowl. I know you're one of those guys.
Hey, they won.
They also, no, I'm not crapping on the
Okay.
Chargers. I'm not crapping on the Chargers. I'm just saying overall that a lot of people pronounced the Chiefs dead. They thought they were due for a decline and this and that. And they went in Arizona and they kicked the crap out of Arizona. And I think they are just as lethal as they have been in years past.
I think that's more on the Arizona defense. The Arizona defense looks abysmal.
Yeah. And the coverages, they were playing one deep high safety. It was a mess in Arizona. And I was a little surprised. I thought the Chiefs were going to win the game and cover, but historically, Cliff Kingsbury in September has been pretty good. They remember they started off 9-2 last year. Yeah, 8-0. So I thought they'd at least have something there, and they didn't have anything. So that's a concern of mine. So I think those two were the things that I was really like. I was very interested to see how that all played out, and I picked the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, and I like my pick after week one. But again, there is so much more football to go. It's absurd. Like I said a couple minutes ago, the Packers lost 38-3 last year on week one, and everybody was like, "Oh,"
and then they won the North.
Yeah, and they won the North, and I think they were the number one seed in the NFC, and a lot of people picked them to go to the Super Bowl. Granted, they did not make it to the Super Bowl, but look, they were a wagon, of course. So, what was your favorite game of the weekend, Peter?
Favorite game is probably the Saints Falcons. If it's not like, yeah, that's probably it.
Really, that's an interesting
Jameis
one.
Winston with the comeback. Post game interview, he said my whole body hurt, but I still had to go back out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good game.
There was a lot of one score games. Mine was the Steelers Bengals, just the back and forth seesaw affair. And
I just didn't like that because my boy Joe Burrow looked like absolute garbage. Garbage.
Yeah, he threw 4 picks. He was sacked 7 times. So much for spending money in the offensive line. He did struggle, but I think he got better.
That Steelers O-line is bad too.
Yeah, I think the Steelers. Tell you what, I know a lot of people. It was a big win for the Steelers, especially in Cincinnati. But if you kind of look at if you look at the game from 10,000 feet away, Joe Burrow had 4 interceptions. So he turned the ball over 4 times. They got to the quarterback 7 times. And I believe in regulation, Pittsburgh was only able to score 20 points.
And TJ Watt got hurt. Najee Harris got hurt.
Yeah.
See ya.
Look, I like the Steelers, but I still have some question marks there. I love Pat Fryermuth. I think he's somebody that's going to really develop as the year progresses. I'm not high on a guy like Chase Claypool. I think he's severely overrated, and I don't think he's a good route runner. I think he's you just got to get physical with him, and he kind of turtles. I think he did in this game to some degree. So, yeah, I thought this game was fascinating, and I understand a lot of people expected the Bengals to railroad the Steelers. Did you? You didn't pick the
No,
Bengals,
I didn't. What?
You didn't pick the Bengals last week.
No, because it's a division game. It's always tough over there.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the Bengals are a team that could be primed for that Super Bowl hangover. It feels like a lot of people did not expect them to get to the Super Bowl last year, of course, and they're kind of young, inexperienced, and it wouldn't shock me if, like I said, it wouldn't shock me if they won like 8 or 9 games this year and did not really take that step forward. And that offensive line is still such an issue for Cincinnati. I really couldn't believe it. They spent a good, decent amount of capital there in free agency, addressed it through the draft. And look, man, he got sacked 7 freaking times. And I'm not saying it was all the offensive line's fault because, of course, Burrow threw 4 interceptions. So he deserves some blame as well. But look, like you said, TJ Watt got hurt. And he still gets sacked. Burrow still gets sacked 7 times.
I mean, on the other side, T. Higgins got hurt on the other side.
Yeah. Yep. He also missed time as well. And Jamar Chase, he's still Jamar Chase. 10 catches, $129. I like that Steelers Bengals game a lot, and I loved it. That was my favorite game of the week, personally. Was there any games that disinterested you?
Interested me. I mean, Dolphins, Patriots. I'm sure we'll get into that. I mean, Browns, Panthers. Baker Mayfield look inept. 3.5
Yeah.
quarters. I don't know what they were doing. I mean, the Browns defense swallowed them up the whole game. Christian McCaffrey doesn't look like Christian McCaffrey. I don't know if that's rust. Baker Mayfield. The boy DJ Moore looks terrible.
Yeah, I was disappointed to see that. You told me he was going to be a top 5 receiver, Peter. Not yet,
He will
anyway.
be.
Not yet. But we'll hit on both games. We'll start with the Browns Panthers right now. And the Panthers came out of the gate so slow. I think they scored 17 points in the fourth quarter. I think they only had 7 through the first 3. Baker, inconsistent. What do you have? 5 balls tipped at the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, I don't know what their game plan was, to be honest.
Yeah, and
I
I
know that's
thought
one of the Browns defense, one of the Panthers
the Panthers were going to win this game. I really did. And it did not come home to roost. They had an opportunity and they just couldn't get it done. Baker was 16 to 27 for 235 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. And Brissett didn't even play that well on the other side. He was 18 to 34 for 147 yards and a touchdown. Nick Chubb ran the ball extremely well. Same thing with Kareem Hunt. They both averaged over 5 yards a carry. But I think this was a game Carolina should have won, and they didn't. They had an opportunity. I thought they were going to come out strong, and they didn't. They came out flat. I thought this was going to be Carolina's Super Bowl.
Yeah, for
wasn't.
sure. I mean, Baker Mayfield wants to stick it to the Browns.
Yeah, and it just did not seem like it was. They didn't get things going until later on, and it was just frustrating from that aspect. If I'm a Panthers fan, I'm a little discouraged because I expected big things in the week 1. And look, Matt Rule is somebody that right now in Vegas, he is right now the odds-on favorite to be fired first. And after watching week 1, how can you argue that? You really can't.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, whatchamacallit in Dallas has an
McCarthy.
excuse now. Yeah, he is an excuse now. He's not going to get fired.
And even then, it feels like the Carolina Panthers, their owner, David Tepper, he's somebody that I'm trying to compare him to a different owner. He's like Steve Ballmer with the Clippers. You know how like he's very aggressive. He's not afraid to make big moves. Like he's not afraid to get involved. And this Panthers owner is the same way. And this is year 3 of Matt Rule, and if things don't change, this will be his last. Like they wanted Deshaun Watson. They were in on him the whole time. Deshaun, of course, didn't want to go there, and they were in on other guys. Like they swung for the fences, and they just weren't able to execute a deal. And I just think Matt Rule is in a lot of trouble. And week 1.
In week 1, everybody that lost, I mean, Rams won the Super Bowl. Lions, nope. 49ers, nope. Bengals, nope. Patriots, no. Well, not yet. Panthers, obviously.
Over Matt Rule, no shot.
Yeah, I know. Texans, Colts, no. Falcons, no. Jets, no. Jaguars, no. Packers maybe. Titans, no. Oh, no.
No, it's just
Josh
Rule.
McDaniel. No, I'm just kidding.
It's just Rule.
Yeah.
Just Matt Rule. And, it's unfortunate because he was a good coach in college. I thought he was going to be able to put it together. Last year, I thought the Panthers were going to be able to put it together. And they started off good. I remember they started off like 3-1 last year with Darnold. Then he kind of got hurt and things kind of spun sideways, and Darnold was never able to recover. Then they brought in Cam Newton and it got worse, and it just sucks, man. That team is in rough freaking shape, Peter.
And the Browns here, looking ahead, I mean, listen, they're the Browns, so you can't chalk up a win versus the Jets, but they could be 2-0 when everyone's picking their under. When Deshaun Watson comes back, they could be.
Yeah, I was one of those people. I said the Browns would win about 8 games, 7-8 games, and Jacoby Brissett, we know what he is. He has limitations, but I think he's shown over the past, whatever you want to call it, 4 or 5 years now, that he can make not a big play, I should say. He could play mistake-free football. He can not turn the ball over. Yeah, exactly. Reminiscent to Teddy Bridgewater. Look, I think this Browns team is just kind of there. They're going to run the football. They're going to play good defense, and I think their defense will get better as the year progresses. The run game's going to be there. Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, if they're healthy, that's the best 1-2 running back tandem in the league, in my opinion. So they were impressive. They were absolutely impressive. And Peter, do you want to give? We'll switch because you said of course, the Patriots-Dolphins game you were very disappointed in. You picked Miami to win. You picked them to cover. So of course them to win. Talk a little about that one. Dolphins won 20-7. The Patriots, what are they now? 2-8 in the last 10 years in Miami.
Yeah, I mean, 2-0 won 4 times versus them last 2 seasons. It was more on the play calling, I think. I mean, listen, that should have been a defensive pass interference or a hold to start the game, but after that,
Parker one,
Patriots look absolutely deflated. Running games was nowhere to be seen. Trent Brown was probably quitting on some blocks. There's I
Mac
mean,
almost got killed.
what's up with our boy Kendrick Bourne? I mean,
KB, I know,
one
man.
pass, 30 yards, and then Bill's like, nope, get back out there. It's like, okay.
Yeah,
Mac
I
Jones is getting killed.
got killed.
And then, I mean, on the other side, Tua absolutely sucks. Tua was trying to give the game away. No, he was. He was trying to give the game away
Yeah,
the whole time.
I don't think this was a good quarterback showing for either Mac or Tua. I think they both played subpar. I think Tua, now his quarterback rating was over 100, but it feels like there were some missed opportunities there. He was throwing around the ball in the fourth quarter. But again, he won. They scored 20 points, and the Patriots were only able to get 7 points. And rewatching the game in real time, Peter, I agree with you about the play calling. One that in particular to me was the 3rd-and-3 run to Ty Montgomery. Of course, Ty Montgomery is more of a pass catching back. He's not a between the tackles guy. That is more, of course, Ramondre Stevenson or Damian Harris. And that play call didn't make a ton of sense to me. I don't think play calling was the reason why they lost the game. I just think they weren't able to execute. The receiver separation is a real problem for this team. And you just made the point about Kendrick Bourne. He needs to play 2 snaps. And that number has to absolutely change. I was disappointed from Devontae Parker, only 1 catch for, I think, 8 yards.
Well, he was on Howard the whole time.
Yeah, which I get, but I was expecting a little bit more out of him. I liked what I saw from Jonnu Smith, able to break a couple tackles. I like to see that yards after catch. But I have some real concerns about this Patriots offense, of course. I think the run game, I think they went away from it too quick.
Well, their
Damian
O-line was
Harris.
terrible. Cole
Yeah.
Strange already got benched.
Yeah, I think that's an issue, of course, as well. The left side in particular with Strange and Trent Brown. How do you fix that? Of course, you're gonna have to go with some screen passes, some short passing games, and it's difficult, man. It's not a good showing. They don't play well. They don't play well in Miami at all, ever, clearly. But my biggest takeaway after, so I have the NFL Plus now, Peter. You seen that, the new NFL streaming service?
I do.
So like they have the coaches tape on that, so you can kind of watch that. So I watched it through. And that was my biggest takeaway from watching that was the receiver separation was slim to none, and the time Mac Jones in the pocket was slim to none. And those were the things that I took away from it. The Patriots defense, I think, played okay. I think Tyreek Hill got his catches, but they held him to under 100 yards receiving. They kind of, for the most part, kept him away from the big passing. John Jones, I think, did a decent job on him. I think they did well against the run for the most part. So I think that's a silver lining. But no, overall, not a good performance. I was expecting better. After that first drive, Peter, I felt that they were able to get something going. And of course, it ended in the Devontae
Me too.
Parker.
And I was like, oh my God, here we go.
Yeah.
Up and
looks
down
good.
the field. But
Just another weird thing that occurred to me watching like that coach's tape was the first quarter, that first drive, they were driving, they looked good. And then they scored on the first drive of the third quarter. So those like scripted drives, I guess scripted in air quotes, but just kind of what you kind of, I don't know. I was disappointed they weren't able to adjust in game and get something going. I was disappointed. I don't think Mac Jones played well. He missed a couple reads. He had Jonnu Smith open a couple more times.
he
He
missed
didn't go
a
to him.
ton of blitz pickups too. He
Yeah,
was
yeah.
getting himself killed.
The Trent Brown, the one that ended in the Dolphins touchdown wasn't on Mac. That one, there was really nothing he could have done about that. But there was a couple that he could have stepped up in the pocket, could have did some things differently. But my biggest takeaway was, like I said before, play calling's got to get better. Offensive line, of course, and I think the receiver separation is an issue. Is it fixable? I think it is, but how long is it going to take? That's the issue. All right, Peter. One thing, I want to hit on a couple more points before we give our picks for the week. Dak Prescott, I think we mentioned him that he is hurt. He has a banged up thumb. He's going to miss about 4 to 8 weeks.
He's not even on IR though. Just weird.
Yeah, he's not on IR. Jerry Jones talked and said that he thinks he can get back in 4 weeks, but all the NFL Twitter doctors, and I'm not mocking them, like they're literally, like those accounts that are actually, yeah, all those guys, like they think it's got more like the 6 to 8 range. And the Cowboys offense looked inept even when Prescott was out there. CeeDee Lamb was a non-factor in the game. Amari Cooper, of course, is in Cleveland now. The leading receiver was Noah Brown and Dalton Schultz. But other than that, it was really tough. And now Cooper Rush is going to be the starting quarterback down there in Dallas for at least the next month. And I'll read you the next 6 games, Peter. This week, home against Cincinnati, at the Giants, versus the Commanders,
Loss.
at the Rams,
Loss.
at the Eagles,
Loss.
and then I'll give you one more. Home against the Lions.
Oh, nice. 1-5, 0-6.
So what do you think? So you think best case 1-5?
Probably. I mean, Giants, Commanders, right?
Yeah, I think so. You hope for 2 wins there. If you can somehow go 2-4, then I think you're in a good spot. If you can't, again, I'm not a Cooper Rush guy, but
Well, like Washington won and the Giants won last week.
yeah, so that's not ideal for the Cow. It was which team took the biggest hit in week 1? It was the Cowboys, and it wasn't even close. You lose your starting quarterback. Your offense looks inept. The rest of your division looks good and wins. Commanders didn't necessarily look good, but they won.
Carson Wentz looks pretty good.
Yeah, Wentz looked okay. Yeah,
2 interceptions, 1 fumble, but
Philly looked good. The Giants had a comeback win. The morale seems to be up. Brian Daboll looks like he's a real coach. So if you're in the NFC East and you're a Cowboys fan, you have to be a little concerned. And Dak Prescott look, if Dak Prescott struggled out there, what's Cooper Rush going to look like? I think you have some pause for concern. The Cowboys' offensive line is bad. They can't run the ball. I think you're going to start to see a lot more Tony Pollard over Zeke Elliott. I know Pollard is more of a pass catching back.
Pollard was terrible. Too.
Yeah, he was. I just think they're going to kind of transform here. It feels like last year they were trending towards more of a Tony Pollard centered offense, and I feel like they might even go that direction even further. Because when Zeke's on the field, they're running it. Like, it's as simple as that. When Pollard's on the field, they're throwing it, and they need to have some sort of identity there, and they don't right now. Mike McCarthy is somebody that I've bashed on this podcast for like a year now. And look, I think from a play calling perspective, from an offensive game plan perspective, I didn't love it. It felt like they could have attacked the Bucs secondary more. And I know the receivers in Dallas are not what Dak Prescott is used to. When last year he had an arsenal of Dalton Schultz, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, and CeeDee Lamb. Like, that's a pretty good receiving core. And now he's down to CeeDee Lamb, and that's about it.
Well, Michael Gallup's coming back soon.
And Michael Gallup is coming back, but he's not back yet. And I just don't think that Mike McCarthy is the kind of coach that can get the most out of his players that are less equipped to have success. I think Kellen Moore has a confidence issue, especially after that wild card playoff loss against the Niners. I think that's a cause for concern. So ultimately, I'm not. If I'm the Cowboys, I'm not saying your season's over, because nobody's season's over after week 1. Like, it's not. But
yeah, but that's different circumstances.
Yeah,
I'll tell them, Cowboy fans, your season's over.
Your season's over. I'm not ready to say that yet, but tell you what, if I had to pick one team to say that their season's over, that likely over, I'd say the Cowboys. It looked bad, and the Bucs didn't even look great, man. Offensively, I think the Bucs did not look good. Tom Brady, he only threw the ball 27 times. The offensive line, we've talked about it for a couple weeks now, is bad. Leonard Fournette ran the ball extremely well, but other than that, Mike Evans is not 100%. Chris Godwin got hurt again. Julio Jones looked good. I was surprised. He looked good. But other than that, man, you have a lot of concern on the other side of the ball for the Bucs, and the Cowboys weren't able to take advantage.
Yep.
Yeah, tough.
Got it.
All right, Peter, and let's talk a little about the game on Monday night. So this was the game that I was extremely excited for. I was curious what the reaction from the crowd was going to be when Russell Wilson...
Lifeless. He didn't even ask to get traded. Or maybe he did, but he didn't choose where to go.
I will say there's something over there that we don't necessarily know with the Seattle Seahawks in the Russell Wilson, their sort of breakup. Because, I don't know, he got booed a lot. And
you won a Super Bowl there.
A lot of people are kind of crapping on the Seahawks fans. I don't have an issue with him getting booed during the game. Like, once the game starts, I don't care. He's wearing different laundry. Like, everybody's moving
even
on.
When they announce him, be a Tom Brady. Announce him, cheer him, and then the first snap.
Yeah,
out of the stadium.
That's what I'm saying. That's fine. But the Seahawks clearly feel different. The fans, there was a lot of people that had posters that had like 12 above 3. Of course, the 12th man and Russell Wilson's number when he was with the Seahawks. So there's something there. I don't know, Peter. I think we're going to get more about that story in the next 5 or 10 years about that whole breakup, because I think them and Wilson and Pete Carroll's relationship is not good. I think it's
Well,
sour.
even like the post game, like when they hugged, it was just like Bill and Tom. It was just like, all right, see ya.
Also, I saw this on TikTok. I can't remember where I saw it on TikTok, but it was an interesting point I didn't really look at. So the TikTok started with saying like, I'm an NFL fan and I look at things a little bit extra, and the Broncos missed the kick and everyone's meeting in the middle, and not many Seahawks players went up to Russell Wilson and kind of shook his hand and gave him his due. It was there was a couple, of course, DK Metcalf, Geno Smith, but to say that Russell Wilson was the Seahawks quarterback for a decade, you would think that he would be surrounded by Seahawks guys and they'd all be hugging him and this and that. That wasn't the case. I really wonder if he kind of checked out the last couple of years and he made his unhappiness known, whether it was on the practice field, in game. I don't know. Something is fishy there, Peter. And because even when Brady came back here, he was surrounded. He couldn't get off the field for 10 minutes. He had freaking guys lining up to high five him, hug him. That was not the case for Russell Wilson. That was something that I took away. It's just a small detail. Not calling Russell Wilson a bad teammate or anything like that, but I think it goes to show that something happened there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And
Nope. Do you want to get into the game itself?
we talk about the game. I mean, Nathaniel Hackett. I mean, you could be the first coach fired. I don't get your game plan at all. If you're gonna go for it on your 4th and 1, why don't you go for it on your 4th and 3? And why do you line up or 2? I mean, everyone's gonna talk about the end of the game where you just bleed a timeout 30 seconds and line up for a, what was it, like 63-yard field goal?
64.
I mean, that's not realistic. Even in Mile High Stadium, that's not realistic.
I think even before that incident, Nathaniel Hackett coached a really bad game. In the red zone, they were 0 for 4. A lot of it was play calling. It was bad.
Well, he
play
wasn't
calling.
even consistent. I wouldn't even go. If you're gonna go for it on 4th 3, don't go for it on 4th 1.
Yeah, exactly. The lack of consistency. I think the play calling in the red zone was bad. The pre-snap penalties, they were penalized, I believe, 12 times for 105 yards. And you would think they know Seattle's a loud place to play, that you would think they'd have that situation kind of figured out. They did not. And the amount of false starts they had was just crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. And Russell Wilson wasn't necessarily his best game by any stretch, but he played good enough to win this game. He was 29 of 42 for 340 yards, a touchdown. And Javonte Williams is somebody that was as explosive as it gets for the Broncos offense. He only got 7 carries, Peter. For 43 yards, he averaged over 6 yards a carry. Instead, they gave the ball to Melvin Ingram 12 times for 58 yards.
Melvin Gordon.
I'm sorry, Melvin Gordon, yes. And I don't agree with that decision. And then the decision, of course, at the end, you waste 45 seconds. You had all 3 timeouts. You have a quarterback you're paying $50 million to this year. Instead, you're going to try to kick it in Seattle, the loudest stadium in football, 64 yards. They were in the second longest kick in NFL history. Nathaniel Hackett is in over his head. His tenure as a coach might be over before it even started. He didn't look prepared. He looked over his head. And a lot of people picked him to win Coach of the Year. I think a lot of people said the Broncos could win the AFC West, and he would be a reason why. He would get Russell Wilson cooking, as they say, and he would get that offense clicking. And through week 1, man, that was as bad as it gets. And I understand the Seahawks were playing like it was their Super Bowl. I understand that. Geno Smith was playing his ass off. Pete Carroll was coaching his ass off. The Seahawks defense was hitting hard. They were physical at the line. They did everything they could to win. But if you're the Broncos, you are so far, way more superior talented than the Broncos. It isn't even than the Seahawks. It isn't even funny. To get 16 points, 0 of 4 in the red zone, man, in that play call at the end, that is just as bad as it gets, Peter.
And see, kids, this is why I picked them 4th in their division.
I did as well. I had them going 8 and 9, and I feel even stronger about that because when you just look at the whole, and how do you think Russell Wilson feels, right?
Well, I mean, obviously that wasn't his play call at all. Were they trying to draw him off sides or I don't even know. They're just bleeding the clock down.
No, because they bled the clock down, and I saw him go to the sideline and take his helmet off, and I was like, no way this moron Hackett's going to send him to kick it. And he did. I couldn't believe it. It was emphatically one of the worst coaching decisions I've ever seen. It was so predictable. And again, for the last couple years in Seattle, remember the whole thing with Russell Wilson? He was like, I want to throw more. I want to have control of the offense. I want to get away from a run first offense, this and that. I want to have more control at the line of scrimmage. And that's kind of where some of the issues started in Seattle. In his first game against his former team, he gets taken off the field on a 4th and 5 for a 64-yard kick. And you had all 3 timeouts. And then the moron is going to call his 2 timeouts, I should say, after the missed field goal. Did you see that at the end of the game?
Yeah.
An idiot for no reason, just to be a jerk. Like, I'm out on Nathaniel Hackett, man. And I understand he did some good things in Green Bay. He did some good things with Blake Bortles in Jacksonville in 2017. He coached, he was a good coach at Syracuse in college. But look, man, that is as bad of a coaching debut that I can remember in NFL history. That's really as bad. And look, it's game 1 of 17, overreaction Monday, right? As we're calling it. It seems to be the theme of the show. But if you're a Broncos fan, how could you not have questions about it? He was in over his head.
Now, on a lighter note, are you done ranting?
I'm done. Oh yeah, I'm done.
Now, on a lighter note, did you watch the Buck version or did you watch the Manning version on Monday?
I watched the Joe Buck, Troy Aikman. I love them. I'm sorry. Yeah, I love them. Now, if the game was a blowout, it was a game that I really didn't necessarily care about, then I put the Manning cast on. But no, the game was too close. It was too physical, crazy loud. Aikman Buck. It felt real. I was in on, and I think they had a great call.
They did. Twitter liked them. So.
Oh yeah, they were great. I love Aikman Buck. I think they're as good as it gets.
ESPN finally gets it right.
Yeah, and it felt like ESPN's been trying to get it right for years. I thought for sure they were going to end up with Al Michaels, and they just didn't. Michaels, of course, went to Amazon. And then I think, who did they get first? They got Joe Buck first, right? And then they got Aikman. I think that's how it went.
No, I think they got Aikman first.
They got Aikman first, whatever it was. I was like, oh,
yeah.
And they spent a lot of money, and I think it was money well spent because those guys, they were great. They didn't miss a beat. I think you look at all across the media landscape, I think NBC's crew was fine. I think Collinsworth, as much as people kind of hate on him, I like him.
I mean, he was sick as a dog on Sunday.
Yeah, he was sick. I think the CBS crew with Romo Nance, it's not as aged as well as I thought it would, but Jim Nance is still iconic as it gets. The Fox crew is young. You like what's his face? You like
Kevin Burkhardt.
Kevin Burkhardt. You like him, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like him in baseball.
Yeah, I think he'll end up getting better. And Amazon, we'll see on Thursday with Kirk Herbstreit and Al Michaels, and of course those guys are. Well, Al Michaels, of course, is arguably the best of all time. So. Yeah, and actually next week, Peter, there's 2 Monday Night Football games. So I think Steve Levy and company has one, and then Joe Buck and Aikman have the other.
All right, great. So not watching the Steve Levy one.
I believe Levy has the Bills, Titans, and then Minnesota Philly is the other one.
All right, good.
Yeah, so 2 Monday night games next week. All right, Peter, any other NFL Week 1 topics you want to hit before we give our Week 2 picks? And we're going to try to beat what we did in Week 1.
I mean, do we go through every game? You can 30 seconds on your Chargers.
Oh yeah, I'll give some time. My Raiders, I should say. Yeah. Raiders, first half was inconsistent. I felt like Derek Carr wasn't necessarily as comfortable as I thought he would be early on. He got hit a little bit through a couple interceptions. And I think Justin Herbert did what Justin Herbert does. He had a bullet pass to Gerald Everett for a touchdown. Herbert was great, 26 of 34, 3 touchdowns. And the Raiders, I think they just need a little bit more time to gel. I think it's as simple as that. Devontae Adams was awesome. He clearly had chemistry with Derek Carr from first snap. But I need a little bit more Hunter Renfrow. He was only targeted 6 times, only had 3 grabs. I need more of him. And I do think the Raiders will get better as the season progresses. They are at home against the Cardinals this week, and I like them in that matchup.
And good job with the Eagles, AJ Brown. That looks like an absolute steal. I think 200 yards or whatever. It was poised for a NFC championship. And sorry, Lions, almost there. Ran into a buzzsaw. Not your fault.
Eagles looked really good. Eagles, they Jalen Hurts, he looks comfortable. He's able to run the ball as well. And AJ Brown, him and Brown and Hurts' connection was great. That's my takeaway from the game for the Eagles Lions. Anything else, Peter? I don't really have much to say on the Commanders Jaguars.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, Carson Wentz, ball it up. Good.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
I mean, you're a Superman. 65% of the snaps, 2 touchdowns. Rip to Travis Etienne and rip to all my fantasy teams with Travis Etienne.
I got James Robinson in a couple weeks.
It's
So
good.
I also have that Henderson, the kid from the Rams, who got all the carries as opposed to Cam Akers in the league. So I felt
Yeah,
that
good
was
job, Cam.
beneficial. Yeah.
And I
So we're
think
talking about
that's
Doghouse.
officially,
That guy he's king of the Doghouse, apparently.
for sure. And
All
I
right.
think that's officially every game.
Yeah. I mean, we mentioned the 49ers Bears. Trey Lance did not play as well. Could the weather have been a reason why? Maybe. I don't even think Justin Fields played well either. I think the game was sloppy and I didn't really read too much into any of it, personally. All right, Peter. Week 2. We're gonna give our week 2 picks, and Peter will give his survivor pool pick. So it is a pick that was voted upon on the Daily Goats Twitter. So Peter, you want to give your survivor pick?
Let's do it. I mean, we're gonna win this whole survivor pool with an asterisk. Make sure it has an asterisk. My survivor pick is the Broncos over the Texans.
Ooh,
Good
you're
rebound spot. First Russell Wilson home game.
betting against the Texans again, man.
That's right.
There you go, doubling down against the Texans. For me, I'm gonna go with the Packers over the Bears at Lambeau Sunday Night Football. That's my pick. All
I
right,
like
Peter,
that.
what is your first pick of the week?
My first pick is the Steelers plus 1.5. When I looked
Ooh,
at this line on Monday morning, I was like, how are the Steelers not favored? It's in Pittsburgh, right?
it is.
Yep. I mean, the Steelers defense is way better than the Dolphins. Even without TJ Watt, I think Mac Jones is going to have a hard day. I mean, he might not even play. Who knows?
I think he will play, but
Even,
what a
wait, caveat, if he does play, Paul Cunha is going to ride him to victory. If you know, you
man,
know. But,
that's
I mean, I think the Steelers are way better than the Dolphins, even with all those weapons on the Dolphins offense. And they could only score 7 points.
so.
So,
What is your explanation for the line? I have two theories.
I mean, explanation for the line. They're at home. Steelers.
No,
Steelers
I mean
defense.
why are the Patriots favored?
Uh,
You have any reason?
Belichick versus
Okay.
Tomlin, maybe.
Yeah, I mean that's mine thing too. The Patriots have had no issues going into Pittsburgh in the past. I think that's one reason why, and I think Vegas is thinking TJ Watt is a significant loss. But of course, the defense is still good, of course, with Minka Fitzpatrick. So I saw that. Tell you, after the week 1 game for the Patriots, I thought the game would be a pick 'em. That was my first thought. It would be a pick 'em. But yeah, I was surprised. Maybe the line will kind of shift as the progresses. But it's weird too because Mac Jones he was uncertain of his status going forward, and the Patriots were still favored. Very odd, right?
Yeah.
Something. I don't know. Maybe something's coming down the pipe even further for Pittsburgh. I don't know. That's weird. That one is odd for me. My first pick of the week, I'm gonna go with the Thursday night game. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs -4 against the Chargers. Chiefs are at home. Thursday night football at home. The Chargers are going to be shorthanded. J.C. Jackson is still going to be out. Keenan Allen looks like he's not going to play. I loved what I saw from the Chiefs in week 1. I think they're going to replicate that. Mahomes looks like he's on a mission this year, and it feels like he's going to tear through anyone that's in his way. And I know the Chargers and Chiefs have played close games over the past couple of years. I get that. They played some thrillers, but I like the Chiefs by a touchdown here. I think they cover. And the loss of Keenan Allen, I think it'll be a little bit significant because I think this Chiefs defense is better than people give it credit for. So I like the Chiefs here, -4.
And that'll be that better be a good Thursday night game.
It should be, right?
Should. The second game, I have Ravens -3.5. It's more on Tua than it is on the Ravens. But if you're the Ravens, pay Lamar Jackson. I know he declined the 12-year 350 or whatever it was. Or
250.
250, but yeah, do it up.
My second pick is going to be the Colts -4. They're traveling to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. Colts are, of course, coming off that tie against the Texans in week 1, but I think this is a good rebound spot for the Colts. I think they started to click in the second half of the game, and it felt like things got better for the Colts offense. I like them in that spot. I understand that they had that bad loss in Jacksonville last year. I don't think they're going to replicate that. I'm sure Frank Reich is trying to instill that in them for this week 2 matchup. I like the Colts big in this game. Trevor Lawrence didn't impress me in week 1. I think the Colts probably win this game by 2 touchdowns. I like them -4 here.
Revenge game.
Yes, revenge game.
Third pick, Vikings +1.5 versus the Eagles. I think Justin Jefferson's the best receiver in the league. And whatever showed me on week 1, I think the Philadelphia defense can get exposed. And I think it'll be a close game. It should be pretty fun. Your
Yeah.
Vikings pick looks pretty good.
I hope so. I don't want to curse it, but I feel like looking at looking at the slate of games, the Thursday night game is great, and I think that Monday night game with the Vikings Eagles is really good as well. Those are the two favorite games for me. My third pick, I'm going to go Saints +3. They're hosting Tom Brady and the Bucks. I talked about it earlier in the podcast that the Bucks offense looks inconsistent. Chris Godwin's going to miss about a month. Mike Evans, I don't think he's 100%. And Tom Brady has struggled in New Orleans. He's lost 3 of his last 4 games in New Orleans. He actually got shut out last year. They lost 9-0. Actually, no, they lost 27-36 in New Orleans, but they lost 9-0 at home. So they got swept by New Orleans the last 2 years. And Brady just does not play well in New Orleans. And I think it's going to be a game in which it's going to be low scoring. And I think the Saints are going to come out on top. I like them here. It's a good spot for the Saints. They play well against Brady, like I said, and Brady doesn't play well against them. Something that I've seen over the last, of course, 20 years with Brady, when he struggles against the kind of team, it can occur, and it's tough to really it's going to be tough for him, especially with limited weapons and a depleted offensive line.
Good pick. Fourth pick, I have the Bengals -7.5. It's more on the Dallas Cowboys. I think the Bengals can do enough on offense, and if they can only score 3 points versus with Dak, you're in a long season. I mean, I already said that their season's over, so their season's over.
You did. You already pronounced the Dallas Cowboys dead. I'm going to agree with you. I'm doubling down here. I'm going to take the Bengals -7.5. If you want to bet this game, I would bet it early in the week because I feel like the line could probably go to 8 or 9.
Oh, it already went up. Yeah, it already went up when I was looking at it.
Yeah, I was at 7, and now it's at 7.5. I bet you by kickoff it's about 8.5. That's my guess. I think this is a good bounce back situation for the Bengals. I know they're on the road, but like I said, they kind of figured it out in the second half. The Bengals did against the Steelers. Now, of course, they didn't win the game. And I'm sure they're pretty pissed off about how the game ended itself. The Cowboys, of course, have so many questions offensively. They're coming off a really bad performance against the Bucks on Sunday Night Football. Cincinnati should win this game by 17 points. They should. It's a good spot for them. Tell you what, Peter, if the Bengals don't cover, I should say this. If the Bengals, as long as it's not like a backdoor cover, like if the Bengals don't dominate this game, then I have some real concerns about the Bengals. I like them here. It should be a good bounce back spot, -7.5. Again, if you want to bet this game, bet it early. Bet it now, yeah.
And then final pick. Here you go, Jay. Premium pick of the week. Raiders -6. It's more on the Cardinals than the Raiders. Raiders have a top 5 offense. I think they can't start 0-2, especially in this division. I think Derek Carr's gonna have a game, 4 touchdowns maybe. So, yeah.
Another takeaway I had from week 2's lines: Vegas thinks the Cardinals freaking suck.
Their defense is terrible.
Vegas,
and I mean, Arizona's
they
offense.
suck.
They have nobody in
Like,
offense.
I'll tell you what, like, I understand the Cardinals got blown out against the Chiefs and all that, but you would think Kyler Murray, he holds some weight. The Cardinals are usually typically good in September. But wow, Vegas is completely shitting on them. 6-point dogs against the Raiders, who also just lost to the Chargers. Like, I mean, I was shocked. I thought, tell you what, Peter, I thought the line would be closer to 3. 3.5. But my last pick, it's also my premium pick. It's also my survivor pick. So I'm triple down and like I did last week. I'm going to go with the Packers -10 against the Bears on Sunday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers has absolutely owned the Bears. He's won his last 6 matchups. He scored more than 40 points at home against the Bears in his last 2 matchups. I didn't like what I saw from Justin Fields, despite the fact that the Bears won. And I think the Packers offense should get back on track this week. I'm expecting a bounce back game offensively and a bounce back game defensively. Defensively, I didn't think they played well against the Vikings. I expect them to really play well this week, and I think the Packers win this game in a blowout fashion, probably like 38-13 or something. I'm expecting big things from the Packers. So like I said, that's my premium pick of the week, my survivor pick. Yeah. I'm triple decker on the Packers.
I mean, Rodgers does own the Bears. He said that on multiple occasions. Maybe he'll take a Percocet, who knows?
Yeah, exactly, right.
And I mean, it's in Lambeau, like that. And yeah, I mean, Bears are terrible. The Bears will that'll probably be a first quarter. Why am I watching the Sunday Night Football game?
Yeah, and that's what it has been every time that it's been a Sunday night game. That's how it usually has ended. Now, Maybe the Bears are different. I just don't see it. I think it's a good bounce back spot. It feels like a lot of our picks, yours too. It's bounce back spots. Like how many of my picks this week are teams that lost in week one?
Teams that lost.
1, 2, 3. Three
Three.
of my 5 picks this week, they lost in week one. How about
I
you?
have 2, Bengals and Raiders.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll see how we do, Peter. I tell you what, if we can be batting 700, yeah, we can be 7-3 every week. We're gonna be pretty freaking good. I mean, tell you what, they say week one's the hardest, and we kind of conquered it. Let's see if we can be consistent here. Let's see if we can keep riding this thing, Peter. So let's see if we survive another week in Survivor, and Matt's gonna add the asterisk.
And congrats on the loss in Survivor. I won Survivor. It's already been decided. Let's ride. Stay hot, everyone.